Okay, students, we're going to take a look here at the fourth homework problem on week 2. A lot of people have asked questions about this, so let's take a look here. So notice that it's problem 7-2A. My numbers are going to be different than yours, but still worth looking at. Okay, so I've copied this here, and let's just take a notice here. Okay, it's a new company we need to notice. So they start off with an accounts receivable balance that has no beginning balance. This is very unusual and does matter in this problem for a couple of reasons. Okay, we're starting off with 0 as our beginning balance. Early on, they sell 1,346,000. So we're going to put that in here, and 200 actually. So there's our 1.34 million. Okay, they write off 19.7 in part B of uncollectible accounts receivable. Now here's the problem. A write-off looks like this, right? They take it out of ADA, allowance for doubtful accounts. That's supposed to be your cushion, and they take it out of accounts receivable. So we're going to take off 19.7 right off the top, debit here, credit here, which means accounts receivable goes down. We just take it off the books. What's unique here is that there is no cushion against which to play this thing. Okay, so what this means is there should have been an ADA account if the company was older and more mature, and they would normally have a beginning balance that was on the credit side. It's a contra account that goes up with a credit, but because the company's new, they had no cushion here. So as soon as this happens, this debit here goes debited here, 19,700. This credit here went right over here, 19,700. And right off the bat, you can see that your allowance for doubtful accounts here is going to be affected. And so is your accounts receivable. Okay, going back up to the problem. All right. Now they received a bunch of cash. Well, what does that do for accounts receivable? That's a very good thing. That's what we like. Cash was received, so there'd be cash here, and we would have a debit here. And the only reason we took that cash is because we wrote down these debts. So this also is going to be a credit to accounts receivable. I hope this much is clear. That cash is 674.5. Okay, 674,500. So what this means, class, is that before you even get to part D, which is where most people are confused, and notice it's 2.5% is the number we're going to have to remember here. Before we even get to part D, we got to do some math here. I'd add up all these, and I'd get my 1,346,200. I'd add up these two, and I think I get 694,200. 694,200. When I find the final balance of accounts receivable, I believe this comes out to be 652,000 for my numbers here. Okay. I'm sorry, 652, and I'm missing a 0 there. Okay, sorry for the mess, but there you go. There's my final balance of accounts receivable. And they're saying that I need to make this equal to 2.5%, if you remember up at the top. For my problem, it's 2.5%. What they're saying is then 2.5% of that number is what I need my final balance here to be on ADA. And look, I've already got a negative balance or a debit balance for what should be a credit balance. So what I need to do here is I need to do some multiplication. Take this number and multiply by 0.0250. Be careful, right? I moved the decimal place twice, and that's where I get the 0.025. Get rid of the percent. 0.025. So when I do the math here, and I won't show you the math, but I get 16,300. What this means is I take 16,300. This is 16,300 now. This times this, and that is my final balance here. I have to make it my final ADA balance. But here's the trick. Because there was no beginning balance, because we took this write-off that put us in the debit side, an unusual balance here, I have to overcome all of that 19,700. Oh, and add on another 16,300 because I started at 0. So the question for you, your final journal entry that goes in here, is you've got to put in a big fat credit to ADA. We'll talk about the corresponding debit in a second, but you've got to overcome 19,700 to wipe out this debit, get it back to 0. Oh, and then add another 16,300. So the question is, do I add these two numbers or do I subtract them to get my journal entry here? Well, the answer is you got to subtract them. I got to overcome 19.7. I got to add 16.3. So the final answer here turns out to be 36,000. if I do the math. So this is the actual amount of my credit. My journal entry actually looks like this. Okay, I'm going to go ADA credit of 36,000 to make this balance here 16.3, and the corresponding debit of 36,000 for this journal entry. This was bad debt expense. And this is a very real expense that happens and hits the income statement right here, right now. And the reason it's so severe is because we didn't have a cushion to start this period, and therefore we had to not only cover this whole write-off, we also had to build our cushion to 16.3 because our data says we want 2.5% of our total gross or our total net AR at the end of the period. So we want this balance. We had to overcome this and add in a bunch more to get to that balance. Now, next time we do this for 2012, okay, we're going to have a cushion next time that looks like this. 16.3 will be our beginning balance. And of course, our accounts receivable will have 652,000 as its beginning balance. So these are both relevant because, what was that number again? 652, yeah. What happens now is that the next part of the problem up here, you now do start with a beginning balance. And you use all these numbers to do the same problem again, but it should be different because for the next year, you do start with the beginning balance in ADA. You do start with the beginning balance in AR, but it's the same exact calculations. So I hope that helps. Try that, see if it works, and let me know.